Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy, where we work on getting you back to you. Today, we are continuing our conversation of awareness of self. So in our previous video, we left off about discussing the internalization of feedback from others, whether or not we even know it. We receive a ton of information from the world at large about who we need to be and how we should exist in order to fit in. And one of the results of needing to fit in is something that I like to call Rubik's cubing. It is the act of redesigning ourselves in the moment and adjusting the different pieces of self in order to present in a way that is beneficial to us because we're accepted by others. So if you think of a Rubik's Cube, you're always going to try to get to completion. You're going to try to get to all sides matching. But we have to take a lot of different steps to get there. And if you think about the soul's journey, the soul is always trying to get to that state of wholeness, that state where everything fits in perfectly and we feel aligned. But we take a ton of different routes to get there. And when we Rubik's Cube, what we're really doing is in every situation that we exist in every interaction that we are having, we're constantly adjusting. We are either upping or turning down the dials of the traits of ourselves in order to see if it matches what's expected of us. And this is really an internal thing. This is less to do with what other people are telling you to be and more to do with how the persona within you and your authentic self are now having this dialogue to say, okay, if this is my true self, I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be well received. So let me change my true self in order to show up differently. And Rubik's cubing is a natural form of life. We are always, all of us are doing it at some point or another in order to fit in, to adjust, to make the situation easier. But when Rubik's cubing becomes our default setting, when we Rubik's cube to the point that we actually don't remember what our authentic self feels like, that's when it becomes really challenging to hold awareness for who you are. One of the biggest challenges when we talk about getting to know who you are right now and then identifying where you want to go is that we actually don't know who we are right now. And that is because Rubik's cubing is the act that prevents that. Rubik's cubing is the action that falls between who we are in the present and who we are constantly trying to be for others. So we have to learn to recognize when we're doing it. And what I like to do is tune back into the body signals. Your body is the greatest indicator of what is going on between the soul and the mind. It sits right in the middle. So when we are Rubik's cubing, and if you're going into situations, start paying attention to when you actually feel different. Notice that if you go into a high social setting and you feel like you're putting on an act, when you get out of that setting, do you feel exhausted? Do you feel kind of that like really deep release of just like, okay, I can be myself again? Do you notice that sometimes when you're talking, you kind of feel like you can't say what you want? Or your body feels really tense? Or sometimes it feels like you're walking around with a mask on? Your body is going to be sending you signals that say, hey, this version of self is slightly different from who we are. And the longer that we promote those two separate versions, the wider the gap gets. And we're back in that anxious cycle that says, I don't feel quite good in my own skin. I don't know who I am. So let me keep trying to be something for others. When you start to notice how you're Rubik's cubing, when you start to see how you're adjusting, you're also going to start feeling that weight of wanting to go back to your original self. You're going to want to come back into the space of authenticity because it's going to feel better than the constant pressure and exhaustion that you're going to feel when we need to keep on pretenses and keep pretending that we are someone different than we're not. Rubik's cubing is a natural form of adaptation, but it is also something that can then thwart our ability to come back to ourselves. If you want to learn more about Rubik's cubing, check out my blog post. I'm going to be posting it towards the end of the week, probably on Thursday or Friday. It's going to encapsulate everything that I've been talking about this week. So we're going to talk about fear, holding awareness for yourself, challenging your self-beliefs, and what keeps you from getting to know who you are right now and who you're trying to become.